Daddy said, son, you better listen to what I say. These are the things some of us gotta go through. My sister said, I'd rather love you no matter what you do.
Pretty sad statement on today's world when it's falling on me to give a lesson on responsibility. I mean, what's the world coming to? That's why I've got a guest speaker.
These are the days some of us are lucky to go all through.
Hi, Mom. So here we are at the Black Bull in Bolton.
Yes, beautiful Sunday.
With Vartan.
And Rob.
Hello, Vartan.
Hello, Rob.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
That's good. I'm great, thank you for asking. Recently I was reading on the internet about the free man movement. You're familiar with the free man movement? Free men on the land and all that stuff?
Yes, I am.
And do you consider yourself to be a responsible human being?
I would like to think so.
You consider yourself to be a responsible man?
I hope so.
Do you have you operate your own business?
Yes.
And you're married, you have a wife?
Married, got a wife.
And you have 2 kids, I understand?
2 4-legged kids, yes.
2 4-legged children? They're dogs?
Yes, they are.
I was reading recently on the forum about a guy who wanted to help his brother who had 8 DUIs.
Yes.
And when we were putting on the show in Bolton, you yourself told me about a guy who stated that he was charged with drunk driving, and he wanted to use this free man knowledge to avoid that.
Yeah.
And then you expressed opinions about that.
I sure did.
Would you share those opinions again?
I can try.
Okay.
I think that was very, very wrong. Being a free man to me is all about responsibility. Taking responsibility for your own actions. And if you're going to go around driving drunk, swerving all over the place, spinning out, ending up in a parking lot, and then civilians keep you there until the police arrive.
What happened? Tell us the whole story.
Well, I got this kind of secondhand, so I'm not going to name any names because I haven't confirmed myself. But the story goes that the individual was drunk. He admits this. He was driving down the road. He was swerving, and then he finally spun out. He ended up inside a parking lot. Didn't hurt anybody, but there were other people there, and they kept him from leaving until the police arrived. And he was a little bit perturbed at that, I hear. And he was looking to use the free man movement and the knowledge therein to get away from it. And I find that very, very wrong. You know, I don't know what he's planning to do. Maybe see that they charge the person and say he's not the person, he's a human being. I don't know.
So you see that there's a potential for people to use this information in a harmful manner.
Yes.
When I first started it, the theory that I had, I felt it was like teaching a 5-year-old how to take a safety off a gun. And if you don't teach them how dangerous that gun can be, teaching them how to remove the safety is a pretty stupid thing to do.
Very stupid.
How then do we address, how do we make sure that this doesn't happen then? What are your suggestions for remedy to ensure that people who become free men are responsible?
When I first heard of the free man movement, I thought, this is great, because going through the process and learning about it, you should naturally discover what it's all about. It's all about duties and responsibilities.
Do you agree that rights and freedoms stem from the fulfillment of duties and responsibilities?
Yes, I do.
So you believe that people who are irresponsible now, if they go through this process, they will develop a greater degree of responsibility?
I think what I'm seeing is that people are not really going through the process. There are others that are speeding along their journey, and they're not actually doing their own research, and They're relying on what they're told from others. And if you don't do your own research, you're really not going to discover the responsibility in the duty section of it.
Right.
So I think maybe you should have some kind of guidelines and a study package, what steps to take, what to study, what to look at, so that people can discover their responsibilities. Otherwise, you get someone who comes in like that and he hears you can get away from doing things, but he hasn't really studied into it. He's just heard about it, and he gets the information just handed to him on a platter. That's
So he doesn't end
very
up
much
growing.
like giving a child a loaded gun.
What about greed? Do you see people in the free man movement trying to rely on it to avoid lawful debts and obligations?
Actually, yeah, I saw something else on Think Freeform. It was yesterday or the day before. Some guy posted that he actually received a real bill from a lawyer, I believe. Excuse me. And he mentioned that he finally got a real bill that had all the characteristics of a bill, and now he was looking to accept it for value. And he mentioned in there that it was for something like a down payment for a loan for a purchase of a product. I mean, you bought something, you should pay for it. I would question if you got a loan previous to learning any of this, if you bought stuff and took loans out or used your credit card, and then you found out that banks or credit cards just create the money, you may have not have borrowed it. So in that case, there could be some justifiable cause for trying to write that off somehow. But it comes back to responsibility again. I mean, you got to be true to yourself, I guess. You're only cheating yourself in the end. So if you didn't know any of this before you took out loans, maybe. Would you have taken out the loan if you knew that the banks just created the money? If the answer is yes, then you should probably pay for it.
I'm of the opinion that the accepted for value, we can do that for things that are recognized as human rights. Things like food, shelter, education, healthcare, things like that. But frivolous spending, like, lap dances at a strip club, I don't see how we can lawfully accept for value things like that.
And this guy didn't seem to mention what it is that he purchased. It was $300 and something or somewhere in that effect. But it sounded like a product.
Right.
I don't know what kind of product you're buying that you want to write off that would be essential to life.
So you accept that they have an obligation to provide a bill before you pay them, but if they do present a bill and they did provide you with services or products, and that they have fulfilled their end of the contract, you would honor that contract by paying the bill.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The only thing I have a question with is, like I said, loans. Because, that money really was created in thin air to begin with. But the question would become, would you have borrowed if you knew that from the get-go, with the idea of writing it off later for accepted for value or whatever? And I think that's wrong.
What if you're doing that for the purpose of, say, your education or fulfilling one of your rights?
Education, I would say that would be good to go, because, that's going to benefit you and your community.
So you distinguish between things that are strictly beneficial to you or luxuries to you, and things that are necessary for your survival and that benefit you and your society or community.